Hello and welcome to Super Turbo 64, the podcast in which two friends get together and just shoot the shit about video games. And it is also the only place on the internet currently where you don't get spoilers for The Mandalorian.
Heyo.
I'm Jason Vandervoort, and once again, I am joined by Jeff Ross.
Hello.
Well, this is our first episode of the new year.
That's right. It's currently the second.
Yes, exactly. Originally, we had talked about, trying to have like a, kind of a game of the year, like end of the year episode done. But it's like, with the holidays and whatnot, we were both relatively busy. So it's just like, I don't know. And Jeff was kind of holding out hope for a certain game to come out, like, so he could squeeze it into his 2020 list, which unfortunately didn't happen. But you'll hear more about that as we go along.
Yeah.
So,
what you been playing, Jace?
So, I've been playing, and this really shouldn't surprise too many listeners, but I've been playing the new Yakuza game.
You've been playing it like a dragon.
I have been playing it like a dragon, yes. It's funny. Like, on the day it came out, Techie and I, we went out, we picked it up, and I was telling her, it's just like, all right, hon, I am probably going to play this a lot today, so I'm sorry in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we played through like the first beginning portion of the game. And what I didn't account for is the fact that she would also get invested in it. So like now, so it's probably taken me a lot longer to beat Yakuza than I thought it would. But that's because like, I've kind of waited so that we can kind of experience it. Yeah, together, which has been like, I don't know, like I've had a couple of other games around, so that hasn't really bothered me all too much, but we're close to the end of it. And so, yeah, it's been fun for both of us to be so invested in this new Yakuza game.
It reminds me of a great failure I've had once before.
Yeah.
I played about 90% of Assassin's Creed 2 with Travis watching. Travis, you'll remember from 2 episodes ago, dear listener. And then Travis took off and didn't come over the next day, and I'm like, I need to finish this frickin' game.
Oh, sure.
I finished the game without him. He was not happy. But I went back on a previous save and just showed him the ending or something.
Okay, so you had that backup save. That's nice.
Yeah.
What I've done is, like, if I feel like playing it and Techie's not around, the Yakuza games almost always have just a wealth of side stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I take that opportunity to, like, do some side stories, earn a little bit of extra money, or in the case of where I'm at currently, grinding for levels, because I've encountered a later game boss that was like 15 levels higher than I was.
Okay.
And so, like, I barely made it through like a quarter of their health, and I realized,
you're screwed.
Yeah, I was. But thankfully, an area had just opened up where I could do battles relatively easily.
Okay.
So I've just, like, when I'm just like kind of working on projects around the house, like I'll just have the battles going on in the background with the auto battle thing, just so I can earn the levels.
It's just so wacky that games exist that you need to do that. I don't know.
It is, yeah. It's it's an RPG thing apparently.
Auto battles?
Yeah.
Like, is that in other games too?
Yeah, like it's another one of the games that I've been playing this year, Trails of Cold Steel 4. It has an auto battle function. I know I can't think about a lot of others that have it just off the top of my head, but I know it's also not uncommon for there to be like games where you can actually up the speed of them.
Yeah.
So if you do have to like grind for levels or whatever, then it's not like as slow and horrendous a process.
Honestly, I approve of that.
I do too.
The game and like the game playing itself, I feel like it should be like battle skip or something.
Yeah.
Like, or like in Madden games where you can like have the game sort of autoplay a game in the tournament or whatever, the series, it just like predicts the results for you instead of like, you have to watch the whole thing.
Right.
But yeah, that's I'm glad. So you haven't been playing Yakuza so much as the game's been playing Yakuza.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, when it comes to not grinding for levels so I can beat that boss, I've been playing a lot of Yakuza.
Good.
How about you?
I've been playing a lot of Spelunky 2, and that's been fun. I'm getting slightly better.
Yeah.
I got squished by Olmec again last night.
Okay.
And he's not even the final boss anymore. It's
Was he the final boss in like the previous game?
well, not the true final boss, I
Okay.
guess.
If it's a roguelike, there's always an extra
Like
final
there,
boss
yeah,
like
right.
hiding around somewhere.
And yeah, so I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. I've been playing a little bit of Cyberpunk also.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Awesome.
We can talk about that more later too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most people who who follow gaming have probably heard that there's been a lot of people have had a lot to say about Cyberpunk recently.
Yes.
And we'll have a tiny bit to talk about it, but maybe not as much as certain other people.
Right. Don't worry. Most of this episode is not about Cyberpunk, and especially not about The Mandalorian Season 2.
Exactly. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate both of those.
Oh, excuse me. Isn't that the season in which The Mandalorian...
Don't you dare.
God.
I will cut out your mic so fast.
I haven't seen it, so I can't even say, but Snape kills Dumbledore.
Okay. Now, so before we get too caught up in like kind of the main topic of the episode, I feel like I just should mention there might be a couple of times where our audio sounds maybe not perfect. Both Jeff and I are wearing face masks right now because, we're still, very much
We're playing
involved
it safe, we're trying to
Exactly.
for the pandemic, and
Right, yeah.
it's still January 2nd, 2021.
Yep, so it's, the pandemic is still, it's still going. So,
Yeah.
we're just still trying to kind of record, but, keeping it as safe as we can.
Crossing those fingers for those rapid vaccinations.
Yeah, for real. All right. So, originally, for this kind of this end of the year episode, originally the idea was just, to kind of do that simple, like, top 5. What were the 5 games that, kind of left the biggest impression of us throughout the year? But Jeff kind of came up with the idea instead to do like a series of categories. And to me, that seemed a little bit, kind of more fun.
Yeah.
So we have 5 different categories that we're going to go through. And these are just, all the games that we've kind of like either experienced or just, that have had an influence on our 2020 in some way or another. So we're just going to kind of go through those categories. And then we've got just a couple of, I don't know, just some of our plans for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I figure we could each do like all 3 of the category or whatever, and then just pass it over.
Yeah, that sounds perfect to me.
So our first category is backlog games, and for me that means games that came out before 2020 that we finally got around to, and we got some of that spread into the, sprinkled here and there in the rest of it, but these are maybe older games or maybe 2019 games.
Right.
First one for me, Getting Over It. One of my favorite games of the year for me. Came out in like 2017 or something.
Sure.
Just a wild trip of game,
Yeah. Super unique game.
Yeah, it's like definitely played it over 30 hours. It's like just lots of swinging that hammer, spinning around and trying to climb that dang old mountain, and my next game was one that I had a lot of excitement towards, especially right when it came out. I was like dying to play it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't play it because it was PC only.
Oh, and you hadn't gotten your PC yet. Okay.
But then I finally got around to got to play Legend of Bumbo this summer when I got my PC. So
was that the first game you started playing when you got your PC?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean the Isaac spinoff, of course.
Yeah, right.
And it was a lot of fun, and it was something that John, who my good friend John, who plays Isaac as well, he showed me how to play Isaac back in the day. Wow, I feel old. And like he hadn't played Bumbo yet either, so we were both playing it together when he had still like helped finalize the PC process and whatever. So
okay.
yeah, and final game of the backlog. I played a lot of Slay the Spire this year.
Yeah, right. There was a time where you were like, you had like a run each day, I remember.
Oh, yeah. It was like my morning routine.
Yeah.
And it's also like I went to the cabin, my great uncle's cabin, a lot this summer, and it was one I have on the Switch, so I was able to bring that with and play that a little bit. And yeah, you know, roguelites are endlessly replayable if they're very good. So
Yeah, exactly.
it was a nice game to really hammer on, and I think I've got the true ending for 2 of the characters, and there's 4 characters or something.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm nearly well, actually, come to think of it, I haven't even really started on Ascensions,
Sure.
which are extremely difficult if you get up to higher Ascensions. So. But I'm like, what's wrong, Jason? You're looking around like
I'm
there's
trying
a
to
fly
like
in the
not
room
breathe
or
in as much, you know, like
oh, sure.
just because I keep fogging up my glass.
Oh, I gotcha. It looked like there was some like specter in the room that you were like.
I don't mean to startle you, Jeff, but there's some ethereal force right behind you.
There's no way to say this, but they're here. Yeah. So, Jason, what was your backlog trio?
So, my backlog trio, we have Deadly Premonition, which we did talk about a little bit on the episode that we did with Travis, and it's just like playing it was such a wild experience.
Yeah.
You know, and it still kind of stands as one of the most unique games I've ever played. And after I mean, if you've been playing games as long as like you and I have, you know, you tend to see a lot of recurring stuff.
Right.
So when you do find a game that offers something that you really haven't experienced before, it tends to stick with you a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
And that Deadly Premonition easily did that. I mean, on top of the fact that it's just a wild and weird game with a lot of wild and weird characters.
Yeah, isn't that right?
Exactly. Next would be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is like a game that, because like when that game originally came out, I didn't have a Wii U or a Switch, so it was just straight up unavailable to me. And then I finally got a Switch, and I borrowed a copy of it from our friends Josh and Kirsty, and I played it a little bit. Basically, I got through the tutorial area and hadn't really progressed that much farther. But then that's when Techie and I started dating, and it's also right around when the pandemic really started sinking in. So her and I had like all of this free time, and she was interested, so like we played through the rest of Breath of the Wild together.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to really experience it, because I don't know if I would have finished that game on my own if she hadn't taken an interest in it. There's a couple of games on this list that kind of have that same thing.
And I have to say, like, I know we say this a lot here on the podcast. It's very difficult for me to imagine sitting down and playing Breath of the Wild and being like, I've had enough. Just like, oh, the tutorial. Yeah, okay, whatever, I'm done. Just like the greatest game of all time. Not a big deal. Just... Yeah, The Godfather meets, what is that? Citizen Kane. Yeah,
there you go.
No, it's just, I'm just joking. But it is hard for me to picture that because I love that so much.
I was enjoying it, you know, but it's like, and I mean, we could probably do an entire episode on Zelda, and we probably will at some point in the future. But like, there was something about Breath of the Wild that for me, like, it didn't click the same way other Zelda games have.
Sure.
You know? And so it took Techie taking an interest in it and for us to kind of be playing it co-op to really kind of convince me to keep going through it.
Right. It's certainly less directional.
It is.
That's not a word, but you get my point. It's one where you, like, they tell you to go see the town between the mountains, and you're like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, okay.
But what's your final game on your backlog?
My final game on the backlog, like, this game could have easily made my top 3 if it was released in 2020. But that's Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Oh.
And it's like, that game is probably like one of the only games in a very, very long time where after I had beaten it, I was like, all right, let's just start it right back up and do a new game plus. Like, the last time I think I actually remember doing that I think I've done it only a handful of times. Like once was for the original Persona 5, once for
Mass Effect 2.
Mass Effect 2. Yeah, so it's like very few games have done that for me. Most of the time when I beat a game, it's just like, all right, let's put you on the shelf and like let's
Never
go
look
for the
at you
next
again.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Sorry.
Fire Emblem was just like, because of the way the story is told in that game,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can beat the main story based on the house that you had picked.
Right.
But then you can be like, I still have questions about what was going on with the
Mm-hmm.
other houses during that
Yeah.
time. So like I was compelled enough to want to like dig in. And I ended up playing through it twice this year.
Nice.
And I am taking a little bit of a break from it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do figure at some point within 2021, I probably will go back and do like, a third route.
Yeah.
There's 4 altogether, and I'm not sure
because
if
one was DLC, right?
there's a DLC route that's like it's kind of like an interlude because there's a 5-year gap in between a portion of the game, and that like sub route happens during there.
Okay.
But like there's a 4th route that kind of splits out from one of them.
Okay.
And so I might do it, I might not.
Sure.
But yeah, like 3 Houses was just like phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna be playing that pretty soon. I did get it on a Christmas sale.
Nice.
So I've been kind of waiting to be, for the perfect time to play it.
Right.
So, do you want to start off the next category?
Yeah, I'll start off. Yeah. So then our next category is going to be our favorite multiplayer games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, first one I've got is Fall Guys.
Nice. Yeah.
That's like I was thinking about Fall Guys earlier, and it
Mm-hmm.
it reminds me a lot of Rocket League a few years ago,
Oh, sure.
in which it's just like one of those games that like it kind of just seemingly came out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was like, "Hell yeah!" Like, have
Yeah.
you played this?
Right.
And like it is a really fun and goofy game, and it probably does the most unique battle royale that I've yet to play.
Yeah.
And it's just proven to be like a really fun game for like a few of us to just kind of play
Mm-hmm.
casually and just like hang out.
Yeah, and it's exactly right. Just being able to play it like as a background to a conversation online
Yeah.
or something.
I
is
mean,
very
we did
nice.
that last night.
Yeah, and it's something that I like the levels, and they're
Mhm.
really like just building on the game more and more, and
Right.
honestly, like just the fact that it was free for PSN,
That helped.
it's
Same with what happened with Rocket League. again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
it's just such a huge start to the player base, and
Yeah.
its popularity was so much that it's even got a huge player base on PC and stuff.
Right.
So, PC, and they didn't have to, that wasn't free or whatever.
Right.
but-
They got to make some money on it somehow,
Yeah. I mean, I bought costumes. I'll admit it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And if you got it for free and it's a game that you
Yeah.
like,
hmm
I see no problem. Buying like cosmetics and whatnot, and like supporting the game.
hmm
Especially if they're upfront about it and it's not like the extra content isn't like
It's not loot boxes.
yeah
or
like it's not
something.
held in front of you like a carrot on a stick.
Yeah. And like the battle pass is free every season, so
Yeah,
that's cool.
it is. Yeah, it's just a phenomenal and a really fun game.
Yeah.
The next 2 of my multiplayer games, like I could have really swapped them
Mhm.
either way, and so we've got Guilty Gear Rev 2 and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Like Jeff and I are both really big fans of fighting games.
Yeah.
And like under normal non-pandemic instances, we usually have like a either weekly or bi-weekly get together with a bunch of our friends who like fighting games, and we just hang out, kill an afternoon, just like chilling and playing fighting games.
Yeah.
And that's something that has largely been missing throughout a good chunk of our 2020 for
Yeah.
obvious reasons.
Right.
And in 2021, the next Guilty Gear is going to be coming out.
So stoked.
And
That
yeah,
is
we're both-
honestly my most anticipated game.
Nice. That's awesome. And so like, Jeff and I both kind of started digging into the previous Guilty Gear a little bit more,
Mhm.
because we wanted to maybe see if we can like basically figure out how the hell to play Guilty Gear
Yeah.
before Strive comes out.
Right.
And then with Grand Blue, this is something we only really started playing recently,
Mm-hmm.
basically within like the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another fighting game made by Arxis. And what really kind of makes it the top for my multiplayer thing
Mm-hmm.
is it's what's kind of gotten the most of us online together playing a fighting game. So
Yeah.
it's like it's what's bringing us the closest to like just those.
Those weeklies that we used to have. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like going forward, we're gonna try to do that more like digitally, at
Mm-hmm.
least until things progress with the virus and with vaccines, so that we're able to do it in person again.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my multiplayer games.
Yeah.
How about you?
Honestly, yeah. That I had a ton of fun with Guilty Gear this year.
Yeah.
Um, it's great.
Yeah,
But,
Guilty Gear is really something special amongst fighting games.
Yeah, it's got so. I'm just gonna stop myself now and hit the microphone stand and just, or else I'll gush about it. But my first multiplayer game, Deep Rock Galactic,
There you go.
that came out in the spring of this year, and something I played online with a few friends, and it's like Minecraft meets well, I don't know. You're mining, and then you have to fight off waves of insects. So it's like Minecraft meets
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, what is that, Helldivers or whatever? That's
Yeah,
what it reminds me of. But it's a first-person shooter, and you just have these tasks to complete. But the whole spirit of the game is very, very light, and then like the dwarves are making elf jokes, and
That's
like
funny.
between missions, you can go to the bar and buy everyone around and do a little dance by the jukebox, and
Nice.
it's just like it's a good time. And it's fun to play a co-op game online with friends for once,
Yeah,
I tend
right.
to, and I love playing competitive games, but it's a good change of pace.
Exactly. Yeah, it's nice to just play co-op games.
Yeah.
Every once in a while. That was one thing that I did really enjoy about playing Helldivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it was a fun co-op experience that we were able to kind of all share in.
Yeah. And Travis has been trying to get us back on that Helldivers train.
He has, yes.
We should get back on that, I guess,
Yeah.
But my second game is COD Warzone, which came out at the end of last year. It's spent a lot of time this year playing it, though, in the summertime, when my PC was first built, and actually overheated my PC a couple times.
Did it really?
Like it's one of those things where it doesn't like hurt the PC. It just causes. Well, you don't want to do it too much, I guess,
Sure.
but it causes the RAM to, or the processor to, like, automatically slow itself down so it doesn't overheat.
Okay.
And so, like, I'd be running around, and then suddenly my guy would be like 1 frame per second or whatever, and I'd
Okay.
start moving around super slow. I couldn't figure it out. I bought a bigger fan for my PC, and now it works just
Okay.
fine. So
Nice.
anyway, the whole point is that there's nothing like the glory of being the final squad in a group of 150, and
Yeah, that is a lot of fun.
yeah.
I've only encountered that once personally, but it's really cool. And it's again, like I was saying earlier with Deadly Premonition, like finding a unique experience in gaming is always just
Yeah.
really fun, and the battle royales definitely have that.
Right, and it's a unique experience. It's like a new genre, basically.
It totally is, yeah,
And-
especially since it's blown up so recently.
Yeah. Nowadays, people would like mock them for not being unique anymore, but in my, people are like, oh, but I'm sick of battle royales and stuff like
Sure.
that. But I don't know. It's just like they're fun. They're fun.
Yeah, they are.
But my fighting game of the year, multiplayer game, third multiplayer game, has got to be Fighters. I
Oh yeah.
played a ton of that. Me and my friend Andrew got really into it again this year
Sure.
and just tried to play online a bunch and just like really go to town. Roshi came out, and I have been loving Roshi. He's got so many special moves.
Mm-hmm.
So many that like every once in a while I'll just bust one out and Andy will be like, "What the hell was that?
Right.
What was that?"
Right.
But
And I mean, you actually fought a pro player
That's true. I did
Yeah.
fight a pro player about a month ago now. Double L is his name. He got fourth in either the East or West Coast National Championship this year.
So, a
He's very good.
really damn good Dragon Ball player.
His team was Broly, Piccolo, and I can't remember, but he didn't need that third character anyway.
And those are two characters you really like.
I do. I haven't played as much Piccolo as I used to, but Broly is like my main character basically, but he just wrecked me. The first round was perfect. The second round I got like 2/3 of one character down, and
yeah.
it was just impressive to behold, honestly.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, like it's just wild to think that the skill gap is just that vast.
Right. It's just like,
because I mean, you and
makes it look like I've never played the game before.
Exactly, yeah. You and I have gone to tournaments before.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, I mean, definitely, we're not like, I wouldn't go as far to say that we're like really good fighting game players.
No.
But it's like, we love the genre, and we've done the necessary things to like participate in it, but just to like to go up against someone who is really, really good, is just,
it's a whole nother level.
It really is, yeah. I've never felt a power like this before.
I did not show him my fighting spirit, and he destroyed my planet. So.
I mean, that happens.
Fair is fair.
Yeah, that's just how it goes.
I will start the next category now. Third category for us. Indie games.
Yep.
Best indie games of the year. And my first pick, top indie game, would be the first few levels of Spelunky 2. I love it. Love that game. It's definitely miles ahead of the first one, which I thought was an amazing game.
Right.
And the second one is harder, and it is more complicated, deeper, complex. You know, there's secrets that I don't even know about because I can't get that far. I've been watching Northern Line play it a little bit, you know, and I'm not that far in his Let's Play series either, you know, but like at least I've seen a little more than what I've been able to get to.
Yeah, I getcha.
The only reason it's not in my top 3 though is because I feel like I haven't had a full experience of the game yet.
Right, yeah. Like you said, it's the first few levels. I don't know like how many there are, but yeah, like it's hard to put a game that high up when you really haven't like fully experienced it.
Yeah. So I've gotten to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels or whatever.
Okay.
Something like that, and there's got to be at least 10 more or 5 more or something like that. But no, I meant 10 total.
10 total.
There's got to be at least 10 total.
Sure.
But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Anyway, I'm getting hung up on it. Hades is my next game on the indie game train. That game is super polished, one of the best stories in an indie game I've ever played. It's just beautiful stuff. It's fun to talk to all these Greek gods and just chilling in the underworld, taking my time slashing through hordes of dopes, and you know, it's just it's a good time.
Yes, it is.
And my final indie game was Fall Guys. So
nice.
What about your indie games of the year, J-Space?
So for my 3 indies, first one, it also came out like at the very end of 2019, but I didn't play it until this year, and that's Blasphemous.
Sure.
And that's an indie Metroidvania that, you know, has a lot of Dark Souls influence to it.
And it's all about like Catholic.
Yeah, it's like kind of a Catholic inspired imagery. Like it's a very dark and twisted religious imagery.
Okay.
And it's just like I played multiple Metroidvanias this year, but I would definitely go as far to say that it was probably my favorite.
Sure.
And it felt the best to play, and you know, felt like the most engaging to explore.
Yeah.
You know, so I just had a really good time with it. Basically up until like the second to last boss, which was immensely frustrating.
Did you finish the game?
I did.
Nice.
Yes, I did. There is a there is a true ending that you can get, but by the time I beat the final boss, and when I looked at what like I would need to do for the true ending, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care.
And I know this happened last year for me, but Hollow Knight was the same way for me.
Yeah.
You know, wow, I love this game, and I finished it, and they're like, but did you do the thingy where you drop the skull in the chasm? I just made that up, but there's
there's extra stuff in there.
There's so much more, and there's probably bosses I never played against and stuff like that. So.
Right.
Whatever, man.
Whatever.
Just leave me alone.
But then, next on my indie list is Wintermoor Tactics Club.
Oh.
And so, so that's, outside of Yakuza, that's the game that I'm playing right now.
Okay.
I'm playing that on the Switch. And it's you play as, a group of kids at, a kind of a prep school. Mm-hmm. And you're in what is essentially a Dungeons and Dragons club, even if it isn't specifically called Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. And your principal enters all of the clubs in a snowball fight tournament, and the prize for the tournament is you get to keep your club going.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
There's only enough money for one club in the budget.
That's we still haven't reached a point in the story where we know why it's happening, but basically none of the clubs like it.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's really fun. I picked it up after I had gotten, I think I had beaten either my first or second run of 3 houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, because I like the art style of Wintermoor. It has a combat system. It's a tactical RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the story, the combat, just I don't know, it ticked off a lot of the right boxes for me.
That's really cool.
I'm still going through it right now, but I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with it.
Nice.
And I'm definitely going to beat it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then my top indie for the year is Hades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of explained it a little bit, but yeah, I've really enjoyed my time with Hades. It's funny, it fell into a similar thing with Breath of the Wild, where I had reached the third of 4, I think, worlds.
Yeah.
I had reached the third one a couple of times, and it's I felt like I had just kind of hit a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm kind of losing steam on the game. And Tucky was like, here, I'll try it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
So now her and I alternate, because
Mm-hmm.
it's got that mechanic where you can't use the same weapon twice in a run, and she only really wants to use the gun.
Oh.
So she'll use the gun, I'll use a different weapon, and then she'll use the gun, and so we're just kind of competing to see who can get farther.
That's awesome.
We're still stuck at the bosses of the third one. We both got really close yesterday. So, but it's just we'll get there.
I have never noticed you couldn't pick the same thing twice in a row. And I assumed that the little chain or whatever that shows up over it meant that I had already selected it. And I always went for whatever the purple bonus is.
Exactly, yeah.
The darkness bonus. So
right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a cool mechanic.
Exactly.
Good job, Hades. Always impressing.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's our indie category.
Mm-hmm.
So next is our the notable games that are missing from any of our categories this year.
Yeah.
And so for me, the first one of that is Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, we're not going to spend an awful lot of time talking about it, especially because the game has unfortunately gotten a lot of bad press.
Yeah.
Which is largely targeted at the fact that, even though it is released on, current last gen, I suppose, now consoles like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it runs really, really badly.
Yeah, it runs terribly on those.
Exactly. So, I haven't gotten the next gen console yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so even before the game was out, I kind of figured I would just hold off and wait to play it on next gen.
Mm-hmm.
But then once it came out and word spread like wildfire, how badly it was playing on current gen or past gen, I was just okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to wait.
Right.
And our friend Sean, he played Cyberpunk, and he I think he managed to beat it or like got really, really
Mm-hmm.
close, you know? But
He
like,
got to a point, he said, where he had to take a break just based on glitches. I know
yeah,
that much, but.
yeah. And Sean is like probably one of the most patient gamers I know.
Mm-hmm.
So for it to test his patience,
Yeah.
like,
It's a bad sign.
yeah, definitely saying something. So I'm
Cyberpunk is
just
also.
waiting.
Yeah.
Like if like I'm sure when I'm able to play it, I'm really going to like it.
Yeah.
But it's just not quite there yet.
From Cyberpunk is also. I know you still have more, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that Cyberpunk is also my number one, and I figured I could just talk
Great.
about
Yeah,
it a
go
little
for
bit
it.
too right now. It's just that, it's like, I, I'm playing it on PC, and it's just, it's fun, and the story is really compelling me right now.
Yeah.
It's just that I haven't put enough time into it. I thought
Yeah.
that it was going to be so good that I couldn't put it down.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't been the case.
Sure.
I mean, the bugs are a little distracting. Even on PC, every shrub is X-rayed through the wall.
Okay.
I can see every palm tree through my friend's face.
Ah, ah, ah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that it was it's a good game so far.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't dug its hooks deep enough that I can say it's going to be in my top 3 of
Right. Yeah.
2021 or
It's
anything.
close.
Anyway, keep going.
So yeah, then my next one in my notable missing games is Trails of Cold Steel 4.
Sure.
Like, I feel like just like the Trails, like the Cold Steel series, and just like the Legend of Heroes like series that it's all part of. Like I mentioned the first game, Trails in the Sky. I mentioned that in like our first episode, but I don't think I've barely talked about the series since.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's just a series that I've largely just been kind of playing in the background.
Yeah.
And it's like so Trails of Cold Steel 4 is like the final game of the Cold Steel arc, and it's just like this big like kind of culmination of everything. So it's almost like a JRPG Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
In a way, that's like the biggest comparison that I can kind of equate it to. And so I'm still going through it,
Sure.
and it's just I was pretty confident before I started playing it that it would say like it would crack like my top 5 games of 2020.
Yeah.
But
It just hasn't.
it just
huh?
hasn't,
Yeah.
So but it's worth noting because I've played it a lot, and I feel like I'm probably going to have an opportunity going into next year to like talk about not just Cold Steel 4 but just the series in general, because there's a lot of interesting stuff I feel like can be said about it.
Yeah.
And then my final game in my notable missing games, and I can't believe it, is and that's Persona 5 Royal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am a huge Persona fan, and I was really hyped to play Royal,
Yeah.
and like it came out while I was on furlough from work. So like I had all the time in the world to play it.
Yep.
But like I've already played the base game of Persona 5 twice.
Mm-hmm.
And so granted, Royal does add quite a lot,
Right.
but something else came out not long after Royal that just captured my attention because, at the end of the day I was still playing Persona 5 a third time.
Sure.
So like there was something else that had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've still not finished Royal. I will eventually because like, that's a game that I could probably just jump in and just get back to playing whenever,
Sure.
But it's just, that's just how it goes. Like even games that you really thought that were going to be like, again, like you were saying with Cyberpunk, I thought I wouldn't be able to put Royal down, but I did.
And again, Persona is also on my exclusions list.
Yep.
It's a lot. Basically, I'm parroting what Jason just said.
Yeah.
Like I loved 5, and I thought, well, Royal is going to change so much; it'll be like playing a new game in
Right.
a lot of ways, and it hasn't been the case.
Exactly.
It's just. It hasn't been enough of a change that I've been able to keep playing it.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
and it's in part too because I finished the Persona 5 in like fall of 2019 or something for the first time, and then like in March of 2020 or
2020,
something.
yeah. So you didn't have like a big like
Gap
time away
between
from it, yeah.
playthroughs, yeah. And so it's like I'll get back to it.
Yeah,
I'll
same.
finish it and stuff, but Yeah. Do you have any more to add
Nope,
about
nope.
Persona?
Those are my. No, no, I'm good. Yeah, but those are my notable missing games from this
Mm-hmm.
episode. Now, how about you?
I have one more game on the exclusions list, and that would
Mm-hmm.
be Isaac Repentance. And you might be asking, but Jeff, you're such an Isaac fan.
Mm-hmm.
How could this be?
Mm-hmm. How could this be?
Well, Jason, calm yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm calm. I'm calm.
Okay. Uh, it's not out yet, and it should be. God damn it! I just want it to be out, come out, but
Right. Yeah. Like
no.
when I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, like when we were getting ready to record this, Jeff had
Mhm.
said that like the next Isaac expansion was like slated to come out.
On December 31st.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that
So we
was,
were
like, we were debating if that was gonna, like, I say we, but like, I'm sorry I cut you off. Go
no,
ahead.
just like and we were just kind of joking that it's just like. If it does come out December 31st, then I can
Mhm.
put it on my Games of 2020
Exactly.
list. But then, like, it was revealed that it's just like,
That was a
unfortunately, it was just like,
placeholder,
yeah,
yeah.
placeholder date, and it's not coming out until when-ish?
Now, the release date just came out yesterday, March 31st.
Okay, so yeah, you've got
Yeah.
still a little bit of time to wait for it.
Yep.
So, possible game of the year for 2021 for Jeff. We'll see.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, it's a game that, like, I think the last DLC came out over a year and a half ago for Isaac, so just such a delay for between DLCs and whatnot.
Right.
And I remember playing the Switch DLC. It came out on Christmas Eve of 2019, I think.
Okay.
And like that was the final expansion for Switch until now. But anyway, enough about a game that's not even out yet. Let's talk about our top 3, or did you have top 5?
I've got 3.
Okay.
Yep. So
I've
yeah,
got
these
3
are our
as
top
well.
3 games of 2020. So yep, you go for it, Jeff.
Okay, I'll do that. Number 3, Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remake 1 and 2.
Nice.
It's a game that it was just such a nice breath of old air, like I just
stale.
yeah, it's like opening a Pringles can, if you know what I mean. Just like I haven't played a game so arcadey and yet so robust. So just straight up addictive in a long time.
Right.
And it was nice to play those games again. And I like skating games quite a bit.
Yeah.
As I ranted, like, I'll admit it, I listened back to the episodes. I want to improve my everything if I can.
I want to improve my everything.
Yeah. And so when I listened back to the Skater Boy episode, and I'm like, I went on forever about like 5 different points of like the soundtrack for Skate 3 had modular soundtrack and therefore it is superior to Skate. No, God. So I apologize, dear listener, if you made it through that.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little bit of gushing about a game that you love. It just shows that you know it left an impression on you.
That's right. So my number 2 game is Ghost of Tsushima. And that game was quite a blast. Just a solid story.
Yeah.
With a compelling ending in which Snape kills Dumbledore.
I know, Mandalorian really ripped it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just like having that be my
your go-to spoiler.
Yeah, it's I can replace any spoiler with that, and it still gets that feeling of like I'm ruining something for someone else. How fun is that? I'm a terrible person,
Monstrous.
I really enjoyed playing dress up Barbie with Jin Sakai. I changed his outfit every 5 minutes, basically, to like, I will be tackling this head on. Better put on my samurai face mask. I really enjoyed the parries and the dodging. The combat was the highlight of the game.
It's so good.
Second after the highlight of that combat would probably be just the vistas of the game being so beautiful.
It's a gorgeous game.
Third, maybe the story. Fourth, lots of horse death, which is just great. I love it. I just love it when horses die. No, your horse doesn't die. But my top game of the year, shocker to few, Last of Us Part 2.
Nice.
That game is truly incredible, and if you're thinking about playing it, get off your butt, go to your nearest video game dispensary, sponsored by the state, and, uh, and go pick up Last of Us Part 2 and say, I'm here for the PC players of the world. And by that I mean, fight the alt-right idiots who hate it for no reason.
Word.
What I'm trying to get at, again, I'm getting off topic. I'm trying to make enemies on here, I guess.
Good.
First, I'm like, horse lovers, fight me. Alt-righters, fight me.
Alt-right horse lovers.
Oh, ooh, I don't want to meet you. Yeah. But Last of Us Part 2, like, the gameplay is incredible, but
Yeah.
the story is the best.
Yeah.
It's like, The Last of Us Part 1 had one of the greatest stories in video games, even though it was sort of derivative of, like, The Road, which I never read or watched or anything.
That's a good movie.
And The Last of Us Part 2 is derivative of nothing, in my opinion. And I would love to be corrected. If you want to hit me up on Twitter and be like, first off, love horses. Second, just going to tell you that actually The Last of Us Part 2 is a direct ripoff of blank. But, like, the less I say about The Last of Us story is the better, so I won't go on. And maybe if Jason finishes it, I would love to, and by that you'd have to start it.
Right. Well, that's like, it's funny you mentioned that. So like a few days ago, I kind of started writing down like a list of games that I want to dig into in 2021. And two of the games on there are ones that you've talked about like at length on this podcast. Like I do want to dig into Last of Us Part 2 because I also played Part 1 and really liked it.
Yeah.
And I also want to play Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, did I mention that?
Yeah, I forget which episode it was, but yeah.
Oh, on this podcast. I thought you meant this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, those are two games that you like really enjoyed that I do want to dig into. So those are two games that I want to try and like look at some point in 2021.
Absolutely. It would, especially for Last of Us, I think it'd be great to do a special episode on
exactly.
that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
But Jason, please take it away.
My top three. Okay, so my top three also features Ghost of Tsushima.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just like, that was a phenomenal experience. Like, again, like I can't really, there's not much that I can add to it that Jeff, didn't already say. Like, phenomenal combat, gorgeous looking world, super engaging story. Like, it's just, for me, it's like one of the best examples of how you can tell a really good story in an open world game. Because most of the time in a lot of the open world games that I've played, the stories are usually kind of lacking, know? But this was like really engaging, and I feel like of a lot of the games that I played in 2020, like some of the events that happened in Ghost of Tsushima are going to be some of the things that are going to stick with me longer than certain other games. So yeah, it's just a great experience.
Absolutely.
Then so my my number 2 game is Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Right on.
It's just like I'll probably go into bigger detail about Yakuza Like a Dragon at another time. But like, it's it's like, in the fact that it's kind of a soft reboot for the series and it tries a bunch of things differently, and I feel like it nails all of them.
Awesome.
So like I couldn't imagine a better starting point for someone to get into the series.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like I have absolutely just loved my time with it.
Nice.
And I have a feeling that, most games offer you like a new game plus mechanic, well, Yakuza does too. And I am fairly confident that at some point I'll do the new game plus for Like a Dragon. I might wait because I do plan on getting a PS5 at some point this year, assuming we can find one.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like, a lot of games now will have like an upgrade pack
Mm-hmm.
so you can play them on, next gen console. So I'll probably go through Yakuza again on PS5 one of these times.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, it just incredible experience, and I'm such a big fan of that series.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was definitely cautiously optimistic about the
Yeah.
game, because again, like I said, it does a lot of things differently.
Mm-hmm.
But to see that it just like sticks the landing in
Yeah.
so many ways, it's just gotten me so excited and rejuvenated with the series. Like, I was looking through the games that I've played throughout this year.
Mm-hmm.
I've played 3 Yakuza games this year. So like, and I mean, like, it just, Like a Dragon is the best, hands
Nice.
down. So, but yeah, my top game of 2020 is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Nice.
Yeah, like, it was also one of those games that just came out at a perfect time. Both Techie and I, we were on furlough.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah.
And so like we both just like really, really dug into Animal Crossing.
Right on.
So like, and it's still like, the game came out in April or March.
I can't remember.
So it came out, either like,
In the
first
spring,
quarter
at
or first
least,
half of the
yeah.
year, and like it's still a game that we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near as actively as we were when it first came out,
Yeah.
but it's like it still says something, like when we still want to, check in on the island, see how it's doing, and like we're still playing and we're still like working towards like bigger goals
Mm-hmm.
on that island that we've put together. So it's just like, I don't know, and it was just a thoroughly comforting and engaging experience.
Nice.
So like, yeah,
That's great. If
Yeah.
I had an honorable mention, it would be that. I
yeah,
think.
no, it's just like, it's a great game. I absolutely love it.
It's Animal Crossing. Can't go wrong with
Mhm.
Animal Crossing. It's just splendid.
And what was really fun, and like it came at such a perfect / terrible time,
Yeah.
because it's like, obviously, like when it came out, the United States was like, in very heavy lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so like like the closest thing I got to seeing some of my friends was like visiting their
Yeah.
town in Animal Crossing. So like, visited Jeff's town, visited a few other friends' towns, and like, I don't know. It's yeah, it was just one of the
It
very
worked out, yeah.
comforting experiences.
That's right, and it glued us. That
Mhm.
that gap of not seeing each other. It
Yeah,
was able to fill that hole. I
Absolutely.
guess. So
Yeah, no. Yeah, so those were my top 3, and yeah, like those were our the categories of our games like throughout
Yeah.
the year. That's kind of our what kind of like at a glance what our 2020 looked like when it came to
Yeah,
gaming,
Absolutely. In other words, what my entire life looked like. No.
You and a lot of other people, man. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
well, 2020 was such a shit year. So.
exactly. I mean, yeah, like no matter where you go, basically on the internet or wherever, like you'll see, like examples of why 2020 was a shit show.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, that we were at least able to get a lot of good gaming in during it. There's
Yeah.
some, I don't know,
Oh well.
a little bit of comfort, I guess.
Exactly. It's. I'm happy to be moving on from that shit year.
As am
People
I.
say, well, actually, 2021 is going to be exactly the same because it's just an arbitrary number. But shut up. Just let me have this one.
Shut up, you alt-right horse lover.
God. I could just. I picture like one day I'm gonna be walking to my car and I'll hear a clip clop, and I look over and some guy in a MAGA hat is gonna be like, "I have a few words for you, Ross." And I'm like,
And so does Thunderbolt here, which is that's what I'm assuming the horse's name is.
God, the horse would probably be named something more like I don't have anything.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say something like nope, still don't have it. It's got to be something like alt-right-ish though.
Yes, exactly.
Pepe.
There you go. Ah,
God.
that's funny.
Anyway, sorry. We don't need to talk about the terrible things all day.
Exactly.
We can talk about...
That's what the news is for.
Yeah. Oh, God. What if this was somebody's primary news source? Don't go outside. Wear a mask.
Play video games.
Yeah. So...
And now to sports.
Yeah. We wanted to talk a little bit about what we plan on doing for
We do, yes.
2021.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got a, it was a short, like a kind of a shorter season for our 2020 season, just because, we started the podcast like a little over halfway through the year.
Sure.
And so we're going into now what's going to be our first, like, full season, of episodes. And, like, what is really nice is, like, and I have to thank you for this. Like, Jeff kind of kicked me in the ass about, like, saying, like, let's just start releasing these and, like get the process moving. Because I am very much that kind of person who, like, does not want to release a thing until I know and feel that it is perfect.
Right. And there's never going to be a perfect, and thus we have to release it, or else we'll never release anything.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Jeff kind of convinced me. It's just like, hey, like, let's take what we've got. We'll release it, and we'll kind of try to, like, improve as we go along, which is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would definitely like to think that, kind of by where we are now, we've kind of established, like, what our core episodes are, and kind of like what the main structure is for what we're doing.
That's right.
But we have come up with a couple of ideas, 3 specifically, of, like, 3 additional spin-off series, I guess essentially is what we've kind of come up with. They'll all appear on the podcast.
Feed,
yeah, exactly. But we've got just, like, a couple of, like, kind of deeper dives into certain kinds of things that we're going to share with you. So the first of those is a spin-off series that we're calling How Did You Like?
Yeah.
And that is going to be where Jeff and I both fully dig into a game that we've both actually played.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, it's weird. We have similar interests, and yet we don't always play the same games.
Exactly, yeah. But we have already recorded our first episode of that series.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima.
Exactly, yeah. It made both of our top 3 games this year. So, yeah, Jeff and I have recorded our first episode of How Did You Like? And that is actually going to be the next episode that comes out for the podcast.
So keep an eye out for How Did You Like Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah. And so then there are 2 other spin-off series that we've we've only really just kind of started talking about them.
Yeah.
But they are things that I think we'd like to kind of get started. And so both of those, like, kind of alternate, like, kind of who takes lead on them.
Yeah.
In a way. And they're more kind of bigger explorations about, like, the genres that, say, myself or Jeff really, really like. So the spin-off series that I'm going to start working on, I'm calling it Jay's RPGs.
Yeah.
And so...
Nice name.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so, like, and that's just going to be, like, I'm going to just do, like, bigger explorations of, like, RPGs and, like, the JRPG, like, genres. And so, I haven't asked some of these people yet, but, like, I've got a couple of friends that I feel like, would have, like, really good insight into that. And so there'll be episodes that are more catered, to really kind of just digging into those sorts of games that I love so much. And then Jeff also has one, and I'll let you take over.
No, it's actually, the name of it came from Jeffy Likes Roguelikes, which was something on our YouTube channel a while ago where I would play a random roguelike game and just, talk over it. But Jeff likes roguelikes, Jeff likes roguelikes. That's going to be my series, basically, where I do the same thing. I'm going to be investigating, probably, like, it might be games that are, like, a few years old or something like that, and just talking about some of the bigger roguelikes that I enjoy, and hopefully getting some guests on here that also play those games, and just talking about basically the best genre that's out there right now. What's
you
so
could
funny?
Say.
I don't know why you're laughing.
I mean, it's a matter of opinion.
Yes. All right. That got weird. Sorry. So anyway, that's for the podcast. That's what we have lined up.
Yeah. That's what our 2021 season is going to look like. We're going to definitely have, like, a lot more of our, just kind of the normal episode structure that we've kind of established.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna experiment with a couple extra different spin-offs here. We're gonna try and get a few different guests on here, a few recurring guests. We're just the podcast has been a really fun and engaging project to take on. So yeah,
it's been a lot of fun to record these, and even more fun to go back and listen to my own voice and just be like, wow, I can't believe I'm so dumb.
Wow.
No, it's been a good time. So,
exactly, yeah.
anything adjacent to the podcast that you have? Should I say adjacent to the podcast?
Hi-yo!
Because I think I'll be doing some more streaming on low effort Let's Plays, I'm thinking every Sunday night, if you want to, and we can throw a link in the description.
Yep, we'll feature that.
Last Sunday I streamed Spelunky 2, I guess, is what I'm planning on doing tomorrow night.
There you go.
Getting
into some real kind of time travel-y stuff
here.
here.
Stop! Go back! I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, and hopefully get some people up in there and jamming with some Spelunk.
Some Spelunk.
So, I guess, unless you got something else, J-Space?
Yeah, no, I can't think of anything, off the top of my head. Yeah, again, I'm sure I'll probably think of something.
Well, that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, no, we're just going to kind of keep, keep working on what we've got and just kind of try to keep making it better and better as we go along. So yeah.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter.
Yes, exactly. And we'll have the link in the description below for that as well.
Right on.
Links to everything that you will need will be there.
Be nice to horses.
Yep.
And be nice to everyone.
Yeah, even if their political views do differ from you.
Yeah.
Just basic human decency.
Yeah, and if you do love horses and do appreciate the neoconservatism of the United States, don't talk to me. But no, just have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, have a good day.
That's really what I want to say.
Exactly. Yeah, and so yeah, that's the. We will leave our 2020 season bid at adieu, and so from here on out, we got a new season.
Yeah.
Boom.
Air 5, Jace.
Air 5. Clap.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Still stings.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so with that said, we will see you all next time when we release our episode for How'd You Like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening as always. Yep. Later, everyone.